All right, so what we're going to learn today, and I know I have this goofy camera, I'll show you why I have that in just a moment. We're going to work today with using this type of compass. See, this slides around. This is called a bullseye compass. I'm also going to show you how to use a more traditional compass. You guys may have the ones that open and close more smoothly. Mine has a little screw in the middle that you open or close to make it smaller. So I'm going to show you how to use both of these. We're going to do a copy of a segment, and then we're going to do a segment bisector. So I'm going to grab a good sharp pencil here. Mechanical pencil is my best choice. And I'm going to share my screen. The screen that I'm using, this is a document camera. So you're actually looking here at that yellow document camera is facing down onto a little clipboard that has a piece of paper on it. So you can see my compass here, and I can kind of move this back and forth. I don't have a name for that. We should name it. We'll see. Anyway, but this also has what we consider, just a generic straight edge. So back in the olden days with Euclid, when he's the father of modern geometry, father of regular geometry, I don't know. Anyway, he made all these ideas using a compass and straight edge only. So our tool, this one, is kind of a two-in-one because it's the compass that if you put your finger right here, this part spins. You can put your pencil in this end and move it. I'm not going to do that because I don't want to mess up my white paper. And then the straight edge part is this part right here. Okay. So I'm going to start with showing you how to do a basic construction of a segment. So if we have a segment, I'm going to draw one right here. So I'm just using my pencil and I'm going to draw a segment. You can do this too. I don't care how long it is. What I do care about is that it's straight and that right here you put a dot and you call it A. And right here you put a dot and you call it B. Okay. So here we have the segment AB. Now what we're going to do is we're going to use the compass, the part that spins, and the straight edge to make a copy of this segment. Okay, so they will be congruent segments because we're going to make an exact copy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my dot in the middle of A. See how my dot here is right on A. I'm going to put my finger here so that it doesn't move. So I'm making sure that I'm right on A. Got my finger there. And I'm going to just kind of straighten this out. And what I'm trying to do is I'm going to push this until the circle is right on the B. Okay. So here we go. I'm going to make, I put my pencil through it and I did like this, and I've made myself a little mark. Okay. Now what I need down here is I need another little point. Okay, so this is going to be point C. You could do this in a slightly different order if you want. And I'm going to draw a ray, okay? And I'm calling it a ray because it's much longer than that segment. Kind of goes forever. So I made a very long segment, a very long ray from C to wherever it goes. It's definitely longer than this A to B, so that's a key thing. I'm going to re-double check my measurement here, that this is still exactly on this B dot, and it is. So I'm going to slide this down here, put this mark exactly on my C point. Okay, make sure to use the same hole that you used before. Don't use this hole because that's not what you used before. Use this one. And I made a new, what we call arc, okay? And this intersection, I'm gonna call D. Now, I can say with certainty, even if I don't measure it, that because I followed this procedure of making my arc mark, coming down here and making my arc mark, that this segment AB is exactly congruent to segment CD. I can write that here if I want to. AB with that segment symbol on top is congruent to CD. Okay, so that's the first thing to do. Obviously, I'm expecting you to rewatch this a few times, and I want you to practice. So pause the video, back up, draw a new segment. And what I would recommend is just start practicing. Maybe do 3 or 4 lines of varying lengths. Okay, so I could call this XY. And if I wanted to make another line that's congruent to XY, I'm going to come down here. I'm going to draw a longer segment. I'm going to label this, I don't know, I can name it anything. P, sure. Okay, and then just like I did before, I'm going to put this right here on this mark, and I'm going to find where is my spot. Looks like it's right there. This time I'm using this inner one. Doesn't matter which one you use, as long as you do the same one. When you come bring it down here to point P. And I'm going to make my other arc mark. Okay, and so where this intersects, we'll call this Q. We can say that X, Y is congruent to P, Q. My thing is like falling off. Awesome. Okay, now I can also draw little tick marks here, right? We've learned how to do tick marks to show that those are congruent. I could do 2 tick marks here to show that these are congruent as well. All right, so the next thing I'm going to show you, and again, I want you to back up, pause this video, make sure that you're real comfortable with doing that, because we're going to be doing even more of this kind of thing, and it's going to get more challenging as we go. Okay, so now we're going to make a segment, and we're going to make that segment's perpendicular bisector. Okay, so remember, from a real basic point of view, a perpendicular bisector, let me draw a picture just on my normal board here. A perpendicular bisector, pen, where are you? Okay, looks kind of like, whoops, this. Go away, settings. Okay, so perpendicular bisector is going to look like we have a segment. Okay, super straight line, as you can see. I'm great at this. And a perpendicular bisector goes straight through the middle. Wow, that didn't go very well. So that this part, okay, right here, is exactly congruent to this part. Drawing not drawn to scale, okay? And also, whoops, this is perpendicular. So that's our goal with this, is that we're going to have a segment that gets cut in half, and they're going to be perpendicular to each other. So let's start with that. I'm going to move this camera right here. I'm going to start with a segment. Okay, doesn't really matter how long your segment is. It's easier to do kind of a medium. Don't go too short, don't go too long. But there's nothing magic about the length that I just made. All right, I'm going to label my points A and B. Okay, and so my next step, or my first step, is to place this end of the compass on point A. Okay, so here we go. It's on point A, and I'm going to put my finger there so that it doesn't move. And what I want to do is I want to adjust. We're going to use this as like a radius adjustment. Think about circles. Radius is half of the circle length. So we're going to adjust the radius so that it is more than halfway across. So if this is kind of my halfway point, I just want to make sure that it's bigger than that. So maybe I'll go just a little further. Nothing magic, just go a little bit further than the middle. Okay. And I'm going to use this tool. I'm going to come up here so I don't run into my keyboard. And I'm going to make an arc at the top. Okay, I'm going to roll it down and I'm going to make an arc at the bottom. Have to be real careful with these compasses that when you're making the arcs that this doesn't like wiggle. Okay, now I'm keeping my compass radius tool, this slider thing, exactly where it is, and I'm remembering that I used the inner dot. Okay, step 2 is to turn my compass around, put it on point B, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to make an upper, and I'm going to make a lower. And my goal here is to have these 2 intersecting points. Okay, so I'm going to label these points. Okay, this one's going to be called X. This one's going to be called Y. Right? And now I'm going to use the straight edge part. And I'm going to draw a line, straight line, as straight as I can make it, right through here. Now, we would say that XY is the perpendicular bisector of, whoops, AB. I need to label these correctly with my symbol on top. XY is the perpendicular bisector of AB. Because of the way that we constructed it, I'm going to label this. This is going to be M for the midpoint. Okay, so this M is the midpoint of AB. That means that AM is congruent to MB. And also, because we did this construction this way, this XMB, this angle XMB, is a perfect 90-degree angle. Okay, so go ahead and practice that. And I would recommend practicing it with different lengths of lines, and also maybe make some of your lines go sideways and some of your lines go this way, some of your lines go this way. So just practice it in different ways. I'm going to quickly show you what to do with this tool. So I'm going to grab my original piece of paper back. If you don't have this type of tool and you don't want to use it, you do not have to watch this part of the video. Okay, so if you don't have this type of tool or one of the compasses that swings open and closed, you don't have to watch this video. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to turn this paper over. So we're going to start again with making a copy of a segment. And so I'm just going to make any length of segment that I want. I'm going to call this A, B. I'm going to make another that's a little bit longer than what I had before. I can even, do this, make it real long. And I'll start my length over here. All right, and so I'm going to use this tool to make a copy. All right, and what I first need to do is I want to put my pointy end. See, I have a pointy end and I have a pencil end. And so I want my pointy end to be on A. And what I need to do is open this up enough so that the pencil end is on B. So I'm opening my little wheel. The little ones that just kind of open and close by swinging are a little faster for this. I like this one because it stays in the exact spot. Those other ones are pretty finicky. Okay, so I'm being real careful, measuring it exactly. Okay, and I'm making my arc. Okay, I'm coming down here to X, and I'm doing this same arc. Whoops, I kind of moved. Let's try it again. There we go. Okay, and so again, I'm going to label this Y, and I can say that AB is congruent to XY because of the way that I did the construction. And if you want to, you can get a ruler out and measure it. You know, I have no issue with that. But to make an actual construction, you need to be using the arc marks and things like that. Okay, so to double check your work, you can use a ruler. But for making the actual constructions, no ruler allowed. All right, so let's do this one. Same idea. We're going to use the other type of compass. So I'm going to start with a line segment that I want to make the perpendicular bisector of. I'll call this AB. Okay. And again, I am putting my compass tip on one end, and I'm just making sure I'm a little bit over the middle. I feel like this is too big. It was almost the whole length of that. But this feels good. It's a little over the middle. I could go a little smaller if I wanted, but this is fine. Got a top arc and I've got a bottom arc. Let me move this up so you can see it just a little better. Okay. And I haven't changed my compass length, and I'm going to put it on the B point. I'm going to do the same thing. So top arc, bottom arc. And now I used my compass or my straight edge, and that can be anything. I mean, it can be the side of a notebook. I have some stencils I could use. Okay, I can label this as M for midpoint. And so AM is congruent to MB. And this angle right here is a perfect 90-degree angle. Okay, so go ahead and practice those in whichever format you want, depending on which compass you have. And I would love to see what you